Hello again, geeks and gamers. Sergito back again with another video. This time I want to talk about a game I've been playing a lot lately, and that would be Battlestar Galactica. It's a game that is very much like the series if you've ever seen it. You got Cylons, you've got Colonials, you've got um, civilians, etc., etc., etc. It's really a great game. I like it a lot. I've been playing it now for a couple of months. It's a really good game. It's based off of the Cortex system, the same Margaret Weiss production system that they use for pretty much everything that they do. Almost all of their IP products. Usually the Cortex system gets tweaked here and there to fit the different IPs that they're running on, but in this case, it's a really good game. I like it a lot. I've read most of the book at this point. I'm always a big fan of the show. Always have liked it. So when I had the opportunity to play in this game, when one of my store owners decided to run it in the local gaming store there here at Gateway, and I had an opportunity to play in it, I was very excited about that. So I'm into it now. I really like it a lot. One of the things that I like very much about the game is things like this. It has the actual people from the show. Their characters are statted out for you. Almost all of the major characters are in here. Let me see. I don't think there's any spoilers. Let me go back here and check. No, I don't see any spoilers here. A couple of the people that I just showed you. Now, not everybody's in here. I mean, we're missing. Let's see, we're missing Boomer. It's probably a main character that's not listed in here in any way. A couple of others. So we got the president, who is the most ridiculous character in the show that I can't stand. I wish she didn't exist. Baltar. We've got Hilo. We've got Tyrell. We have Starbuck and Apollo, Adama and Colonel Ty. All those characters are in here, but not the others, which is kind of odd. Some pretty main characters in here that are missing. Or at least what I consider main characters. Duala, for example. Stuff like that. But yeah, the way that the game works is similar, I guess, in some ways to a Savage Worlds. You have your attributes, which are point by. It's on a point by system, and they range from a D4 all the way up to a D12 plus a D4. Doesn't go to D20. So that's pretty cool. And then you also have skills, and which are also a die that goes anywhere from I believe it starts at a D2, if I'm not mistaken, on skills. Might be wrong in that. Yes, D2 goes from a D2 to a D12 plus D4. And whenever you're working on doing something, you roll the die, whatever the die is from the attribute, with whatever the die is from your skill, if it's included. And then you have an advantage and disadvantage system, which can add things into your roll as well. But whatever dice you roll from whatever it is you're trying to accomplish. Let's use piloting as an example. Let's say you're trying to pilot a Viper. There is a piloting skill, and then there is the agility. So let's say, for example, you're an agile pilot trying to escape from being inside of a base star. Say somehow you got drugged into a base star and you're trying to get out. You're trying to pilot your way out. You would take agility. Actually, in this case, you would actually take the ship's agility, but let's just go ahead and skip past that and just say it's your own. Whatever the agility score is, you take that die. And then you look at your piloting skill, and you take that die. And now if you're a good pilot, then you're probably going to have something like Dogfighter, which is one of the advantages. It's called an asset, which you take anywhere from a D2 to a D4. And say you have it as a D4, well then you take the D4 and you add that to your roll. And you take all three of those dice and you roll them and you get a number. Compare that to a chart and that'll let you know how well you did. One of the great things about the system that I like is there are general skills and then specific skills. You take a general skill up to a D6, and if you want to go after a D6, you have to take a specialty in that skill. So let's use piloting again as an example. You take piloting up to a D6, and then if you want to get better as a pilot, you have to choose a specific plane or a specific ship, or type of ship rather, to be a good pilot of. So you would take small aircraft as your specialty, which would be like Vipers. Or then you could take medium, which would be like Raptors. Or you could take large, which would be like an actual Battlestar, as your specialty. Or let's say guns. You don't want to be a pistol shooter, you want to be a rifle shooter. We take guns to a D6, and then you take rifles to a D8, D10, D12, etc. That's how you get things better. And then if you want to get better in than just general and something else, you would have to get another specialty. I like that a lot because it's generally not possible, or it takes a lot of effort and education and training to be really good at everything in one particular area. So it would take a lot of training to be really good at all guns, for example. Whereas you can be pretty good at a D6 in all guns, but really good only in maybe 2 or 3 different types of guns. And amazing probably in only just one type of gun. So I like that a lot. I do like the advantages and disadvantages, which again they call assets for the advantages part and complications for the disadvantages. There's some really nice ones in here, and I like the way that they do things with those. Most of the advantages give you an extra die in certain situations. Like, for example, Brawler. It's an asset I'm looking at right here. And basically what it does is it takes your whatever die you take in this trait, which is anywhere from a D2 to a D6, and it changes, how expensive it is based on which die you take. Whatever your damage die is, it does regular damage instead of all being stun damage, which is a way that the sort of combat works in this. You have 2 different types of damage. There is a chart, which I can flip back to a character sheet here. I'll show you what I mean. There we go. You see this little track right here. On one side of the track is stun damage. On the other side of the track is actual wounds. And you track them separately, and if they meet, then that's going to be the point at which you go down. So you can take a bunch of stun damage and just a few regular wounds, or a bunch of regular wounds and just a few stun damage, and that's going to sort of be how it kind of works. But I don't know. I don't think I really explained that well. We haven't done a lot of combat in our games, actually, because it's more of a roleplay heavy game. So maybe combat is probably not my favorite. Not so much favorite, but probably not the best thing for me to describe. So, yeah. But yeah, it's a really nice game. It has really neat mechanics. In this particular game, it's got a lot of really cool information in terms of the Battlestar Galactica universe. I mean, here are some ship layouts and plans for some of the different ships that were in the show. Like here we've got the Gemini Traveler and the Olympic Carrier. On this page we've got Raptors and Vipers. Over here we've got the Astral Queen and Cloud 9. Colonial 1. There's a Battlestar. Galactica layouts. There's tons of really great information in here for running a Battlestar Galactica game. It's really nice. You should really check it out uh, as a game because it's really pretty cool. Lots of Cylon information in here. Um, one thing that I think is great about this is how easy it is, because if you've ever watched the show, um, anybody can be a Cylon, really. So you could sort of have that, I guess, traitor element in your game by playing it with a Cylon in your group, which is kind of cool. Um, yeah, this is just really, it's full of great information. There's sort of a section in the back, I guess you call it the GMing section, that's here in the back. It gives you ideas of different types of games you can run using this system. If you're not really looking to run the game, the way that the actual setting made it go, the show, that sort of storyline. So it gives you ideas of how to do different things within the world that's not necessarily within the show. Like you could do a military campaign where you're actually all on a ship and you're doing patrols. You could set it during the actual Cylon War, so you're on a ship fighting the Cylons. Well, the game I'm playing in right now is actually on the same timeline as the show, only we're not on a Battlestar, we're actually on a space station. A space station that was sort of like stationed way out of the way, and not really a primary Cylon target. So what happened basically was, when the attacks happened, and the space station knew about it, or found out about it through radio contact and whatnot, they immediately disengaged their network on the station and jumped the station to a different area, and we're now basically going almost on the same steps as the show did. I mean, we did some searching, ended up going to Cobol, and we're behind the Galactica, so we're kind of seeing what they've left behind and kind of trying to deduce that there are people out there still, and we're trying to figure out where they're going and trying to meet up with them so we can, help save humanity, I guess. Kind of the same way they did on the show. And there are a couple thousand of us on this big station, so we figure if there's a couple thousand of them, a couple thousand of us, we get together on the same planet, we get some things going, have some births and things, and we can repopulate a planet and start humanity all over again. And it's working out really well. I would definitely have to say that Wendy, our GM, is doing a great job in that. She is sort of keeping things canon, but keeping them canon to the point to where they don't actually have to affect the main storyline at all. So we're not changing anything that happened in the show, because we're actually a little bit behind what happened in the show. So I think probably the end goal, and I don't know if this is true or not, but in my mind, the end goal is probably something along the lines of we meet up with them on Earth. And just like at the end of the actual series, when they ended up on Earth, we're going to meet up with them on Earth and actually get behind them and join them and help repopulate and restart the race, basically. So that's great. I really like that aspect a lot. There is a lot of tendency in games like this to actually get too involved in the canon, into the show. Now, Wendy's done a great job, because most of us that are playing the game are definitely really big on the show and really into it, a decent amount actually. And because of that, there are definitely parts where if she wasn't really into the show herself and really interested in pulling in a lot of those little background facts and things, that some of us might kind of call her out on some stuff. But because we don't, don't really care too much about a whole lot of the things, because we're not running in canon, that's helped her a lot. But even so, she has kind of almost rewatched the series as we're playing. So she watches 4 to 5 episodes ahead of where we're at, and so she can plan to see like where we're going to go next based on the show. So things that we find, we found New Caprica at this point, where they had been on New Caprica in the show. There's the one point in the show where they actually nuked the base star, and sensors on the station had actually noticed that nuke having gone off. So once we were ready, we sort of got everything together. We jumped to that location, saw what was left behind of the base star and the nuke and the New Caprica, saved some people that were left on the planet, which actually became new characters in our game. Things like that are pretty cool. So I really like that aspect because I've never really played in a game like this where it's really on an IP where you have something you gotta kind of deal with. I've never played Star Wars. I've never played anything like that really before I started playing this, and it's sort of a new experience for me trying to deal with something like that. I really like it a lot though. It's really something I think you guys should check out, because playing in a given system like this, where you have that history and everything, really creates challenges, and sometimes it can be difficult. Don't get me wrong, but at the same time, the challenges that it gives you really helps you be a better role player. Because you kind of like, how can I put it? I would have to say one of my biggest things that I hate, I guess, that I really kind of want to get at, is metagaming. And when you're playing in like a fantasy game, playing D&D or something, and people have been dealing with these fantasy tropes forever, there's a tendency to, when you go to fight a dragon, and it's like it's a red dragon, everybody at the table knows what a red dragon means. Oh my gosh, it's going to breathe fire at us. It's going to be resistant to fire. It's going to have this. It's going to have that. It's going to fly. It's going to do these things. So even though their characters may not have even made that knowledge roll to see if they know these things, they themselves know. So that it's automatically assumed that their character knows. And I hate that sometimes with different games. And with this game, you'd think that would happen, because people are like, oh, okay, well, I know what happens next. We're at this place, and I know that this guy was going to be here, and so he was left behind by the Galactica, so he's probably still here, and blah, 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 and you try to, like, extrapolate that out. And it doesn't really work that way, honestly. So, being able to stay in line with the show, but not following that exact same timeline and that exact same canon, that's really nice, because then you can kind of do your own thing, but still kind of staying along the same lines of the show and everything. There's lots of great information in here though, so you should check it out. And as I was just flipping through pages, I just came across this section because I never actually looked at this section before, since I am playing and not GMing. But I mentioned before that there was no Boomer. There she is. She's in the back, of course. I also noticed as I was flipping through here, some of the other characters that I had mentioned that were missing from the front, they're actually in the back. We've got D that I mentioned right here, and Doc Toddle, and Gata, one of my favorite characters. All these guys are back here in the back. So, there it is. Margaret Weis Productions, Battlestar Galactica. It's a great game. I don't believe it's in production anymore. I might be wrong on that. Actually, I probably am wrong on that, because I know that they do still keep getting copies of this into my game store that are new. So there it is. Check it out. Battlestar Galactica. Great game. Great role-playing game. Cortex is a good system. Margaret Weis Productions is a good company. So support them. Buy their games. Buy their products. And until next time, we'll see you again. Got a couple more videos coming up today, so you should be seeing another one from me here soon. You have a good